This video I'm going to speak about the success of Black Panther, the movie. I haven't seen it yet myself. It just came out Thursday. Now it's Sunday. They said that the box office weekend was record-breaking. I think they said it made about $175 million in just a weekend alone. Very successful movie. I talked to a couple of my students who've seen the movie. They said that they loved the movie. I myself am not a big fan of comic book heroes and all that, but I just wanted to comment on the video or on the movie in general. I'm proud of the black community and their accomplishments. They have made it, the media has made it a big deal because it's a black director, you know, starring a black actor, and pretty much the entire cast is all black. And I just wanted to highlight and indicate that that's a big deal. You know, they made it a big deal. That's the main advertisement for the movie, is that, hey, you know, this is the first one of the first superhero movies where it's starring a black, you know, person and is directed by a black person, and the entire cast is all black. So they make it out to be a big deal. You know, a lot of people always say, hey, you know, we're all equal. No, we're not. You know, we're all different. And Osho would say that we're all unique, and we are. And you know, we shouldn't undermine the achievements of people who have achieved something for their people. You know, like, just like there's the NBA for the men and there's the WNBA for women. You know, the women have their own way of competition and they do the best they can within their league. And you know, there's a lot of white actors out there that are very successful. Mostly 99% of the movies out there are starring white actors. But this is one of the few movies where it's actually starring people that are non-white. And it's something that is an accomplishment. And you know, this also shows the support of the black community when they support each other, what they can achieve. And you know, being a Chinese American, like, the successes of the blacks out there in America is almost representing a success within my people as well. You know, I feel that all minorities, you know, Hispanic and Asian, are pretty much being represented by African Americans in America. You know, because it's the way that I see America is a black and white country. They don't really make much room for the other races. The other races have to pretty much cheer on the African Americans, you know, to succeed, because their success is pretty much representing a success for all minorities. You know, that's the way that I see it. You know, the success of this movie is, in a way, representing the success of all minorities. And I think that when all minorities support, you know, all other minorities other than African Americans support African Americans, then it could help achieve a balance between the black and the white. And also, there will be a lot of Caucasians that support the African American community and also the minority community in general. And this also contributes to the equal balance of power out there in this world. I think that it's just an imbalance of power. You know, if you look at all these movies out there, it's all starring Caucasian people. All the directors are Caucasian. Like, everything is run by Caucasians in Hollywood media. And it's really tough for any minorities to even become a part of that success. You know, and just like every single president was, you know, a Caucasian president until Barack Obama. You know, and that's a big deal. You know, so when it comes to my presence in the martial arts community, that's pretty much what I was indicating to the people, is that, hey, you know, I am actually Chinese American, so I am one of the few that could actually truly represent Kung Fu and the Chinese martial arts. And yes, you know, there's very successful and talented Caucasian people out there that practice the martial arts, but they cannot represent Kung Fu and they cannot represent the Chinese martial arts because they simply are not Chinese. You know, and it's like by them trying to represent the Chinese martial arts and the kung fu when they're not even Chinese themselves, they're undermining the achievements and the success of the real Chinese Americans out there in this world. And that's not fair. You know, that's kind of like a man who joins the WNBA to dominate the league. But the thing is, he's not a woman. He doesn't belong in that league. You know, he belongs in his own league. You know, so this movie, Black Panther, is all black cast, starring a black actor. You're not supposed to throw a white person in there, paint him with a black face, or put a black mask on him and say, oh, that's a black man. No. You know, you got to put a real African American in the role and let him do his thing. And that's the thing about how I feel with this YouTube or with the martial arts. It's like, you know, people got to realize that Kung Fu is a Chinese martial arts expression that can only be represented by a Chinese person or a Chinese American person. You know, you got to let the Chinese people represent their own. You can't throw a white person in there and be like, oh, he likes the Chinese culture, so he's representing the Chinese martial arts. It doesn't work that way. You know, the Black Panther, you can't put a Ben Affleck in the leading role and be like, oh yeah, he's representing the black community because he likes black people. It doesn't work that way. You got to put a black person in that role. Let him do his thing. Let him shine. Let him succeed. You know, support him. You know, the blacks support him, the other minorities support him, and the whites support him. Support him so he can succeed. You know, stop taking all the roles away from all the minorities because you don't feel that they're needed in this world. You know, let's just have, you know, this Caucasian person star in this Chinese martial art movie, and this is a Chinese martial arts movie. Why is it starring a Caucasian person? The Last Samurai starring Tom Cruise. You know, The Great Wall of China, the Great Wall starring Matt Damon. You know, this last movie that came out, The Birth of a Dragon, starring some random Caucasian person, not even starring Bruce Lee or a Chinese person who's supposed to be portraying Bruce Lee. And that's what I'm talking about. Scarlet, the Ghost in the Shell, supposed to be about Japanese culture, starring Scarlett Johansson. It's like you see, like, what's going on is that the Asian population is not being properly represented by their own people. They're putting Caucasians people in these roles, and then they're still trying to claim it as the same, but it's not. And that's what's happening in the martial arts. You got non-Japanese people trying to claim that they're teaching karate or jiu-jitsu or judo. These are Japanese arts that are supposed to be represented by the Japanese people. The Chinese martial arts, Tai Chi, you know, Wing Chun, Kung Fu, Wushu. These are Chinese martial arts expressions that need to be represented by the Chinese people or the Chinese American people that has to take the leading role. You know, so that's what I wanted to bring up with this movie, is that people be like, oh, you know, it shouldn't be that way. It should be the most talented person should be the one that you know, it should be all be about talent. It shouldn't be about race at all. But you know, we don't live in that world. You know, why do we separate women's basketball and men's basketball? Because women, they're built differently. They cannot compete with the men, so they need their own league. Chinese people are built differently than Caucasians. Caucasians are built differently than blacks. You know, and we're all, every single race and every single culture has their unique points and things that they're good at, things of which they might need to improve upon. But we need to allow each person and from each culture to shine on their own, rather than suppressing them, holding them down, holding them back, being discriminating against them, and not giving them any opportunities. Because really, it is not fair that the only Chinese American that I could even look up to in Hollywood is Bruce Lee, or was Bruce Lee. That is a shame. It really is. And how long has Hollywood been around? All I have is Bruce Lee. That's it. But blacks got, now they got the Black Panther. They got Will Smith. They got Denzel Washington in all sorts of movies. They got so many successful African American actors out there. Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock. They got Tyler Perry making movies. They got Michael Joe White. They got a lot of African American people out there. And that's what I want to talk about.